Arsenal won the Premier League last season, yet they've approached this summer as though they still have something to prove. Their league triumph was built on one of the strongest defensive foundations in Europe, but when the pressure reached its highest point in the cup competitions, they lacked the extra edge to finish the job. Arsenal aren't rebuilding, they're closing the small gaps that stopped an outstanding season from becoming a truly historic one. And in just a few days, we get the first real look at what that fix actually looks like. Arsenal weren't the most dominant team last season. They were dragged into fights, forced to grind results out, and stretched for long spells of the campaign. What carried them through was discipline, structure, a defense that refused to break. They finished with the best defensive record in the Premier League, conceding just 27 goals all season, at one stage even chasing Chelsea's all-time record for the fewest goals conceded in a single campaign. They fell short of that mark, but the message was already clear. Mikel Arteta had built a wall. Here's the problem though. Manchester City beat them in the League Cup final. PSG edged them on penalties in the Champions League final after a 1-1 draw. The defence held up in both games. But Arsenal simply didn't have enough control in midfield and enough sharpness going forward to make those opponents pay when it mattered most. Arsenal's first big move of the summer was Christos Tzolis from Club Brugge, a deal worth around £34 million, brought in to replace Leandro Trossard after his £15.3 million switch to Besiktas. Tzolis scored 22 goals last season. He's quick, direct and comfortable, attacking a defender one-on-one, stretching defences vertically instead of combining through them, and giving Arteta a completely different outlet on the counter. But there's more to this team. Bruno Guimaraes is one of Arsenal's real statements. Arsenal made the signing of Guimaraes from Newcastle official in a £75 million deal, with the Brazilian putting pen to paper on a 4-year contract that includes a further 1-year option. It's the move that actually tells you what kind of team Arteta is building, and here's why it matters so much. Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi were already enough in Europe last season, but no team survives a full campaign across 4 competitions leaning on just 2 players in those positions. Fatigue catches up, injuries happen, depth wins titles, and Arsenal have felt that pain before. Think back to when Mikel Merino, a natural midfielder, had to be pushed up front as an emergency striker during an injury crisis in attack. It worked well enough in patches, but it also showed exactly where the squad was thin, and it pulled Merino away from the position where he actually adds the most value. That problem looks solved this year. Guimaraes brings something Rice and Zubimendi give differently. Elite progressive carrying out of midfield, the ability to break lines with a single pass, and regular contributions in front of goal. Add him to a side that already has Martin Odegaard, Ebereki Eze and Merino creating chances, and Merino can now do what he's actually best at, instead of filling in up top out of necessity. Arsenal now have arguably the deepest midfield in world football, and for the first time in years, nobody has to be moved out of position to cover for it. Think about what that means for opponents. Press Arsenal high and Rice, Zubimendi. Football fans, this is the deal you don't want to miss. Whether you're hunting for an iconic World Cup jersey or the colours of your favourite club, Goal90 Shop has the perfect pick for you. And right now, everything is a flat 15% off, with free shipping anywhere in the world. So don't wait. Hit the link in the description, head over to Goal90 Shop and grab your favourite jersey today. And Guimaraes, rotate through the pressure and break lines before you can close them down. Sit off Arsenal and Odegaard and Eze pick you apart in the pockets. There's no stretch of the pitch where Arsenal are outnumbered in midfield anymore, and that's the platform every great team is built on. Control the middle of the pitch and you control the game. That's why this signing, not any attacking name, is the one that changes Arsenal's ceiling this season. The defense is being reinforced too. William Saliba has been ruled out for an extended period with a back injury, and that's genuinely changed Arsenal's summer plans. Piero Hincapié's move from Bayer Leverkusen has already been made permanent, giving Arteta more cover alongside Gabriel Magalhaes and Christian Mosquera. But with their best centre-back sidelined, Arsenal have gone hunting for another option. Aston Villa's Ezri Konsa remains a live target, with Villa said to be holding out for a fee close to £60 million. And Arsenal aren't done in attack either. Arsenal made a serious push for Vinicius Jr. this summer, but he's since committed his future to Real Madrid, closing that door. Speaking after the friendly defeat to Borussia Dortmund, Arteta was asked directly whether fans should expect more arrivals before deadline day, and he didn't shut it down. His answer: "That's what we're trying to do. If we have the right player in the market to make us much better, we are very much looking forward to that." That's not a manager settling for what he already has. That's a manager telling you the business isn't finished. The expectation is that one more attacking body, likely a winger, arrives before the window closes, giving Arteta another option to rotate across the front line without leaning too hard on any one player over a long campaign. That's another layer on top of a midfield that's already frightening the rest of the league. So how has all of this actually looked on the pitch? Pre-season has been a mixed bag, and that's worth being honest about. Arsenal opened with a routine 3-0 win over MK Dons, then thumped Girona 4-1 out in Catalonia. Since then, results have dipped. A 3-1 loss to Real Betis in Dublin, then a 3-2 defeat to Borussia Dortmund at the Emirates. One friendly against Como remains before the serious business begins. Here's the important part though. Arsenal have spent most of pre-season without a huge chunk of their actual first team. Saka, Rice, Eze, Zubimendi, Madueke, Merino and Raya were all still working their way back from extended World Cup runs and hadn't featured in either defeat. What Arteta actually needs from the final week is simple: fitness, combinations and getting the new arrivals up to speed before the games start to count. And in just a few days we find out how close they really are. The Community Shield is about to answer that question fast. Arsenal face Manchester City in the FA Community Shield on Sunday, August 16th. And this year the curtain raiser has a twist. Instead of Wembley, the game is being played at Cardiff's Principality Stadium for the first time since 2006, with Wembley unavailable due to a run of concerts. It'll also be a very different city on the other side of the pitch. Pep Guardiola has departed as manager, with Enzo Maresca now in charge after their FA Cup win last season, meaning Arsenal face a side still finding its feet under a new head coach. Don't be fooled into thinking this is just a meaningless exhibition game. This could realistically be the first time we see key first-teamers like Saka, Rice and Zubimendi share a pitch with Guimaraes in a genuinely competitive fixture. And history is on Arsenal's side too. They've lifted the Community Shield 17 times, including a penalty shootout win over this very opponent back in 2023. If Arsenal turn up in Cardiff and dominate the middle of the pitch the way this midfield now suggests they can, it won't just be a trophy. It'll be a message to the rest of the league before a ball has even been kicked in the Premier League proper, which begins for Arsenal against Coventry City just 5 days later. Put it all together and the plan is obvious. This isn't a champion reacting to a bad season. This is a champion closing the small margins that separate winning one trophy from winning 3 or 4. Last season, Arsenal too often went cautious in midfield against the biggest teams, and their attacking injuries forced players like Merino out of position just to survive. With Guimaraes added to Rice and Zubimendi and Odegaard, Eze, and a fully restored Merino pulling strings ahead of them, that problem looks solved before a ball has even been kicked competitively. Add a fresh centre-back like Konsa and one more attacking body before deadline day, and Arteta will have covered his one genuine injury worry while sharpening the sharpest part of his squad even further. Defending the title is still the immediate goal, but watching how this window has unfolded and what's about to happen in Cardiff, it's obvious Arsenal are building something built to go further than that. Maybe the Champions League trophy, who knows? The statement starts this Sunday. Do you think Arsenal still need one more attacking signing to go all the way? Drop your suggestions in the comments.